doing it.
You're looking live at Lembo Fernandes on the grid. Do not adjust your picture. This is the way we look. So, but we had 1,000 views on Facebook last week,
That's
John.
a lot of views. It's like a
again,
race game.
like we were saying in the green room.
The green room, right over there.
The bar was. There's also a toilet paper dispenser in the green room. The bar was set very low last week. We got 1,000, hopefully for 1,001 this week.
Yeah, so someone just tell a friend. If one of you tells one friend it's 1,001, we'll be set.
And so on and so on. It's the old,
commercial,
shampoo commercial. Yeah. Anyway, let's get right to it. We talked last week about the coaching search up at Manatee High School. Mm-hmm. At that time, you said they were having maybe 120 applicants. Anything new on that front?
Well, just I think kind of a loose schedule. They're hoping to maybe narrow down the finalists next week. Of course, spring football, the first allowable day of non-contact is Monday. Mm-hmm. And John Booth, of course, has said he will stay on through the spring if need be and help out with kids who are recruiting and such, so he'll be there. But, yeah, they're hoping to have finalists narrowed down. I don't know how many they want, maybe 5, maybe 10, and then go from there.
You know, it's kind of must be a little bit funky for the kids. I mean, here you have the coach who you've had for the last 3 or 4 years, and you know he's going to be gone.
Right.
And you don't know who's coming in. It'll be somebody else when the fall starts. It's a little bit different for the kids, right?
And it is weird, too, because, you don't know what kind of staff's going to be there either. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe, if a new coach comes in, you have to imagine he'd want to bring at least some of his own staff with him. So it's going to be a bit of an odd spring, obviously, but at least it's not like the beginning of the summer where you really have to concern yourself. Well, just go through the spring, get your work in, and then see where the chips fall and see who's coaching in there in a few weeks.
So sort of dovetailing into spring football, obviously it affects Manatee and the coaching situation, but spring football as a whole is revving up again. Any thoughts on that? Really, does spring football translate into the fall? Because a lot of times some of the same players aren't even there on the team. Sometimes the roster is a different makeup.
Right, especially now with all these kids changing schools.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of fluid. But, it'd be interesting. Obviously, Braden Christian has a new coach in Dan Fort, so he'll make his debut. BCS is not playing a spring game. They weren't sure if they'd have a coach in place by now, so they kind of canceled their spring game, so they're not going to play a spring game. But, spring football, it's a bit of a different animal. You get 20 days at a game, and, the coaches like it, gives them that many more days to practice, so.
A lot of eyes will be on Braden River for obvious reasons. Mike Gagg left to become Brian Gagg.
Brian Gagg, right?
Their dad is Mike Gagg. Left to become the quarterback of Braden River. How it's going to affect them and how it's going to affect Brian Riles down in Sarasota, who's not only lost Gagg over the year, but obviously Josh Booker and several other players. So both teams are going to be impacted going forward there.
Yeah, it's an interesting spring. It really is, and we don't often say that. Usually spring is kind of let's get this over with and get ready for summer, but there's actually some pretty interesting things happening this spring for football season.
Not to leave football behind, but there are more pertinent sports happening right now. And obviously it's the spring sports and it's tennis, regional tennis finals. St. Stephen's, you got them for track and for tennis. Let's talk about that situation.
I'll be all over Turner Fields today, the track meet. St. Stephen's hosting the district track meet, and also girls and boys tennis. Boys host ODA. Girls, I believe, play Community School of Naples, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be interesting. Both of those teams, of course, will win away from state, and I'll be at state next week. So all the teams and anyone else who's there, I'll be there to write about it. So check it out on HD Preps.
And I will be at 3A3, the regional finals. I mean, usually I'm used to covering Venice volleyball, Venice baseball, Venice football. They get all the pub down there. Yeah. But no, the boys and the girls tennis teams under Wayne Robinson, been there since 1996. Both of them have reached the regional finals. I'll be playing Fort Myers and Naples Gulf Coast. If they both win or one of them wins, they move on to Altamont Springs on Monday. Again, when you got a program that doesn't get a lot of publicity in the shadows of other programs, it's a nice story, really.
It really is, especially in Venice, as you said. And there's like 2 or 3 programs that really just dominate the headlines. And it's good to see a program like that. I don't think they've been to state as a team, Venice. I'm not sure if
apparently, I asked the coach down there where the match was going on 4.5 hours later. We had a lot of time to talk. I said, have the boys ever made it? We made it to the Final Four in 2013. The girls have never been to the Final Four. So it'll be very interesting to see if both the Venice tennis teams
and this is the second year of that new format. It's actually a team tournament at tennis. It's an 8-team field, and Sarasota's boys were a runner-up last year in 4A, and they're pretty strong this year. They play up in Lutz, Steinbrenner, so we'll see how that pans out. So next week will be a busy week for me up up at state tennis. We have some really good teams and individual players going as well.
No, I've talked to a lot of tennis players in my over 30 years of doing this, and Wayne Robertson, the coach down there, he played football at Liberty. I learned if he's the guy's from Chicago. The guy's the most buff tennis coach I've ever seen. I even looked at him. I said, "What are you doing playing tennis? You should be playing football." And he said, "Well, I was a walk-on for 1 year at Liberty University."
There you go.
So good for him, and good luck to them going forward. And also St. Stephen, his teams and St. Stephen's going forward. And we also can't forget Lemon Bay girls.
Yeah.
8th straight regional final under Coach Darryl Roach.
Yep.
They'll be hosting Bishop Verot. You know, again, sometimes Lemon Bay falls through the cracks, but a fantastic job down there.
Yeah, he does a good job with the golf program too, Coach
Right.
Roach. And last year they took advantage of that new format and they won at a regional. They won their quarterfinal.
Right.
Lost to a really good team in the Final Four, but he said the best they've ever finished at state. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Lemon Bay's there next week as well.
Right, and once again, we'd like to give all the schools pub. With only 3 sports writers covering 19 high schools up here, it can't be
you
tough.
You guys are too good for us.
It can't be tough, ladies and gentlemen. Stop expanding in this area, Bendison. But let's talk about track and field. You wrote the story, Riverview High girls, reading the tenor of the story. Not expected to win the district title, but they did. Lakewood Ranch second. Talk about that story.
Coach Michael Harvey for Riverview's even said some of his girls who we didn't really count on had big days.
Right.
They won only 4 events, but they came through with some top 4 finishes.
Right.
Top 4 go to regional next Saturday at George Jenkins.
Right.
The girls win. The Lakewood Ranch's boys also win. The distance runners for Ranch were huge.
Right.
John Rivera, Bryce Easton, the relay teams. For Lakewood Ranch's girls, Sophia Falco, another huge day. She won 4 events. Manatees, Keon Fordham, he won 3 events, 2 dashes, and he ran on the 400 relay team. So a lot of good local performances yesterday at Seminole High School.
Track and field, would you rather just actually covering the events, would you rather cover just the track, all running, or would you like covering the field events and how they're a little different? Javelin, you ever get a javelin close to your head?
My head, no. I've been lucky that not near my head. You're a pretty bad javelin thrower over here, someone said. But no, I do like the track events a little more because they're kind of like, especially the dashes.
Sure.
It's like 30 seconds long and it's pretty cool to watch. But I've not really enjoyed track over the years, especially the meets that are run well. If you're at a well-run meet that kind of goes pretty briskly, you're in good shape. I've been to some meets that have just been like, what's going on here? But no, I enjoy the track events more because they're kind of more. You know what's going on, too. Like in some of the field events, you're not sure who's winning, who's this. But you watch a track event, and it's pretty simple. Cross the finish line first, and you win.
A couple of years ago, I did a story on a field female athlete up at Lakewood Ranch, and she was the javelin thrower. So she was on the backfield competing, practicing. So I said,
they don't have javelin in the state.
I said, let me try that.
What do you mean javelin? They don't have any javelin.
This was a javelin she was practicing with. Oh, wait a minute.
Was it a pole vault?
No. I may be getting my prep sports. See, wait a minute. This is what happens when you cover stuff for 34 years. Anyway, I've had the opportunity to try to throw the javelin.
Okay. Yeah.
It's tough. This thing went about 3 feet, and it went nose first, and yet some of these people are throwing 150 feet, 180 feet.
It is impressive. Yeah.
The hammer
that
throw.
And the discus. You think, hey, if I throw a frisbee, I can throw a discus, but it's a little heavier than the frisbee.
Right. I think if you're of Greek descent, you might want to come up for the discus team at your high school. Anything else besides spring football? Anything else we should be looking forward to?
Well, we got district softball starting next week.
Right.
One team to watch, obviously nationally ranked Lakewood Ranch.
Sure.
They wrapped the regular season on Friday.
Right.
They are ranked nationally. I think they're 7th in max preps or 8th and number 1 overall in the state. So they're a team to watch. So yeah, some really good softball teams next week. Mim Schmoll for Bayshore.
Sure.
Her career kind of winding down. A great career over at Bayshore High School. She's going to USF next year. So. The last few days to watch her pitch. I think Bayshore will move on to regional. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But yeah, still a lot of good stuff. And then we got baseball coming up, and before you know it, it's banquet time.
Yes, as a matter of fact, don't forget next month the HT Best of Preps banquet honoring the all-area athletes in there on May 23rd. I will be emceeing along with Tom Tryon, as we did last year.
And our guest will be the great Derek Brooks.
Derek Brooks, the owner of the Arena League, the Tampa Bay Storm. Ex-Buck, maybe in my opinion the greatest Buccaneer player of all time. So he'll be there.
Better than Alvin Harper?
Better than, let me think of one of the all-time greats. Eric Rett was a good running back. That's next month, so people look forward to that.
Yep.
I just want to leave on the high note. We're trying to get over 1,000 viewers for the particular show. Again, check out Herald-Tribune.com. Look for Doug Fernandez on Facebook and Twitter. My story today about sex sounds coming from the Sarasota Open out at El Conquistador. I know you were shocked by this. My suggestion was you close your window. But
I don't know if I was shocked by it, but yeah, I think I was like everybody else. I was a little surprised by it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
all.
close your window.
That's all you got to say about it. On matters of prep, you go on. You go on.
What do you want me to say? I mean,
Actually, it was one of the highest hidden stories today. Anytime
Yeah,
you put
I'm
that
not
sort
surprised.
of out there,
Not surprised, yeah.
but we won't talk about this next week on the Grid.
No.
All the stuff you just talked about.
Right.
So we'll end it right there. So for John Lemble, I'm Doug Fernandez. We'll see you next week on the Grid.